This is Gregory Shelton with Historic Living, Modern World. Charles Darwin said, "A man's friendships is usually a great measure of their worth." And I have to be honest, I have some of the coolest friends around. Today we're in Delaware City at Kerry Rhoades' blacksmith shop called Forge Creations. We're going to make a really cool project I cannot wait to show you. Kerry Rhoades!
What's happening, Greg?
How you doing, man?
Wonderful. How about yourself?
I'm doing well. Okay, so we are at Forge Creations with Kerry, who is one of the best blacksmiths that I've known and ever worked with. I came to his shop today because I need another loggerhead. And if everyone knows Historic Living Modern World, I showed you guys how to make a flip. And a flip cannot be made without the use of a blacksmith and the tool called a loggerhead. So Kerry, why don't you tell everybody what the hell a loggerhead is?
Basically, it would be a long rod with a chunk of metal on the end, and it would be in a fireplace. So in colonial times, when you came out of the cold, you'd have that hot iron sitting in the fireplace, and then they would put a mixture of eggs and cream and rum, spices, beer. They all had their own recipes. And then you take the loggerhead and you put it into it, and it brings off a real nice aroma. And then you have a hot drink. So that's what their use was for.
And as the historical documentation of George Washington, as I've said to the fans of the show, George Washington, it was one of his favorite, if not his favorite drink. And the story is that he never had to pay for him because he is who he is, but he drank the hell out of them. So today we're going to make one at Forge Creations with Kerry. And this isn't just a regular loggerhead. This is a custom loggerhead that has some implementation of poplar hull. So it's going to have a design at the end, and it's really going to be doing what Kerry does best, taking an idea and making it very cool. So today, I think what we need to do is kind of sketch out what the concept is, if that's cool. So,
Okay.
So as we know, a poplar pod, and this, of course, is not the size, but a pod itself is what comes off a poplar tree. And we have a very large one at our home. Of course, everyone knows it's poplar hull, but the look of it is very similar to a pine cone. So this would be the part that goes into the drink. What are you thinking for the handle part of it?
I think we just wrap it around, put a nice scroll end here.
Okay.
Got a nice handle.
Love it. Because what this is going to do is it's going to go on a metal hook that I made at your shop years ago.
Right.
And it'll be right by my fireplace. So when we actually go heat them up, I can make it right by the fireplace.
Yeah, so that way you get to draw this out and do your scroll. And
what is the size of the part that goes connected?
This would probably be 3/8.
Okay. As far as the diameter?
Yeah, we're starting with 1 inch here to make this.
Okay, gotcha. That's perfect. That should be good. And again, this will provide a nice weight balance for when it's sitting. It won't fall around. It give you enough girth there to be dangerous in a fire. So tell us quickly, if you don't mind, how are we going to be? What's the steps quickly to making a loggerhead?
Well, you're going to do a lot of the hammering.
Okay. Oh, geez.
So I think what I'd want to do first is we got to create a taper on this.
Okay.
To get this part.
I'm pretty sure that a loggerhead can be used as a weapon in the colonial times if need be, right?
Yeah.
In a pub of some sort. I'm sure the pubs were right next to the blacksmith shops. So ultimately, there is a quote that says being at loggerheads means that you're using your trusty loggerhead to take care of business if need be, right?
Right.
Very cool. So it's double the work, double the need. So I think that's a cool thing to have.
Yeah,
cool.
Hot metal and booze always go good.
Awesome. Let's get to work on this thing.
Yep.
Awesome. So what are the tools? So you got two wonderful anvils. I'm assuming are they different?
This is a Kerry Rhoades. It's an English anvil.
Okay.
And that's about 289 pounds.
So it's incredibly light.
Yeah. This is a Fisher. This is an American anvil.
Okay.
That's 300 pounds.
What do you know differently as far as the sound and?
Yeah, they all have their own sound.
Yeah, wonderful sound.
But the Fishers, a lot of people like them because they're quiet. They don't have that ring.
Ah. What gives it that?
The way it's made.
Okay.
But it doesn't have anything to do with, a lot of people think if it doesn't sound loud, and ring.
It doesn't feel like it's better.
Right, that has nothing to do with it. It's all about the rebound.
Gotcha.
So if you take a ball bearing and drop it, if it comes back up 75% or so, you know you have good rebound.
What do you look for if you were to look for one besides that? Is there anything else to look for an anvil when purchasing one?
For ornamental work, you want to be well over 100 pounds.
Okay.
Just so you have a bigger work surface.
Okay.
But, I mean, a lot of knife makers are using topless sledgehammers just to make a knife.
And I noticed you got a lot of different instrumentations here as far as holes. And these are the same, but this is to bend, obviously, right?
Well, the hardy hole basically is to hold other tools.
Okay.
Like this is a cut-off hardy.
Gotcha.
This is a Pritchell hole.
All right.
So if you're punching a hole instead of drilling it, when you knock the biscuit out, you can knock it through that. You can bend in it.
Okay.
So they all have their use. Yeah, instead of cutting the metal, you get it hot and you just cut it on your cut-off hardy.
There's obviously a lot of tricks there, right?
Yeah, it's pretty easy.
That's very cool. And as far as when we talk about standard tools, and I know you have a laundry list of different tools,
right,
but...
Right, this is a straight peen.
Okay.
I mean a cross peen. A straight peen would go up and down.
All right.
This is more of an American style.
Okay.
This is an Israeli design.
Wow.
But it's still a cross peen.
Right. You've had that for...
I've had this a long time.
I've always seen you use that as your main...
Yeah, there's another one too.
Right. It's a nice balance. Is that one of the reasons you're...
That and the handle feels real comfortable.
It does. It's smooth.
Because
it's old,
if you look at your hand, it's not
waxed
round.
Almost. Right.
It's more rectangular.
Right.
So it fits in your hand.
It does.
better.
It has a nice... Absolutely. And as far as the anvil, what is this point? What do you call that part of the anvil?
That's the horn.
The horn. So I've seen you when I've worked with you in the past, when we make our handle for our project, this is the part we're going to be using to design that loop, right?
Yes.
That's paramount when using an anvil, obviously. So, Kerry, what type of forge are we working with here?
Well, the forge itself is called a side draft forge.
Okay.
The reason it's different than a regular fireplace is the opening's real small.
All right.
So I can work on a piece out here. If this was a wood fireplace, all the smoke would be going straight up.
Correct.
But by having a smaller opening, creates a natural draft to go up the chimney.
Gotcha. Yeah, because the fireplace, if you have your wood here, it would come out here too.
Yeah, so I can work on anything outside the fire pot, and it...
Right. It'll still work. It'll still draw.
Smoke still goes up.
Gotcha. This opens the...
Opens and closes the air.
Gotcha. Which causes, hotter...
Air gate, yeah. So this is what the coal looks like when you start. It's soft coal.
Okay.
And when you put it on the fire, you see the smoke that comes off of it.
Right.
That's the impurities burning out of it.
Okay.
So after you burn the impurities out, it makes coke, which is this.
Okay.
And this is what you add to your fire because it burns really hot and really clean.
Gotcha. Is this what they would have done back in the Victorian times as far as with standard coal?
Yeah.
I guess we probably have less impurities back then, but interesting.
And you can use charcoal.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting. Can you get the heat out of it? I mean, enough heat to
do
damage?
Charcoal burns up real quick, but as long as you have an air source to get it hotter.
Right. So when you're putting that's a pretty heavy as far as the amount of metal you're there. Are the coals providing more heat than the open flame?
Yeah.
Okay.
The coke does.
Gotcha. It's already red.
So it's starting to get
out.
there. So that's probably about 1,400 degrees.
Nice. Very cool.
So the average working temperature is usually 16 to 1,800 degrees.
Okay. Wow. Interesting. Very, very cool. Where did you first learn how to be a blacksmith?
Reading books.
So you're book read. That's perfect. And then you just said, I'm going to build a forge.
They didn't have YouTube when I started.
That's funny. Did you ever train with anyone as far as buddies as you're early working on that?
My friend that used to have a shop down in Lewis.
Okay.
He helped me out quite a bit.
Nice.
when I first got going.
And when we talk about colonial needs and what guys would have done, what would a blacksmith do for a standard residential person that lived out in the countryside?
Well, a lot of it was agrarian work.
Okay.
So they could take care of the farm and
Just the basic needs for metal.
Right.
Horseshoes,
Yeah.
metal, railings, shutter dogs, any of that stuff, right?
Right.
Basic stuff. And how much of it at that time was function over aesthetics or flair? I guess they had a little bit of flair, but predominantly it was a
It
need.
depends on what culture,
Okay.
and it depends on the function of the piece. Because most often it just had to be just the function.
Right.
But then again, you always had that industry of talented blacksmiths that would always make it fancy and,
Sure.
you know,
Right.
but then your client kind of changed. All right.
I got to tell you, Kerry, this loggerhead is absolutely beautiful. Has the pod on the end of it, and you did a beautiful scroll handle. You're the best blacksmith, man. I appreciate the time. Thanks, brother.
No problem.
Appreciate it, man. Thank you again. Can't
Glad
wait to
you
come
have.
back. Thanks again. This is Gregory Shelton with Historic Living, Modern World, reminding you, whenever you try to do something, always make sure you work to move people. Cheers.